Namaste Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naranjaya Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiri Nashta Prahesha Patreshu Nityam Bhagavata Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naitiki. So today we are starting the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 1, genealogical table of the daughters of Manu. Text number 1 onwards. Maitreya Vacha Manostu Shatarupayam Tisraha Kanyascha Jagire Akutir Devhutischa Prasutir Iti Vishwataha. Shri Maitreya said, Swayambhuva Manu begot three daughters in his wife Shatarupa, and their names were Akuti, Devhuti, and Prasuti. So now he just finished the topic of Lord Kapil Dev instructing his mother, and then Mother Devhuti did her tapasya, and then she went back to the Kapil Loka, Vaikuntha planet. Now Maitreya Muni is further speaking about the other daughters of Swayambhuva Manu. But in the purport, Prabhupada first of all gives a synopsis of this whole canto. So Prabhupada says, first of all, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto our spiritual master, Om Vishnu Pad Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, by whose order I am engaged in this Herculean task of writing commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam as a Bhakti Vedanta purports. By his grace, we have finished 3 cantos already, and we are just trying to begin the 4th canto. So just imagine him in all his traveling assignments, preaching, training his disciples, opening temples, managing the whole ISKCON society, because I think by when he started translating 4th canto, it must be in 1970 or so. So that time the movement was really growing, and Prabhupada was very busy, but he gave his heart out in his purports. And that's what he's saying, we're just trying to begin the 4th canto. By his divine grace, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya, who began this Krishna consciousness movement of Bhagavad Dharma 500 years ago. And through his grace, let us offer our obeisances to the 6 Goswamis. And then let us offer our obeisances to Radha and Krishna, the spiritual couple who enjoy eternally in Vrindavan with their cowherd boys and damsels in Vrajabhumi. Let us also offer our respectful obeisances to all the devotees and eternal servitors of the Supreme Lord. In this 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 31 chapters, and all these chapters describe the secondary creation by Brahma and the Manus. The Supreme Lord himself does a real creation by agitating his material energy, and then by his order, Brahma, the first living creature in the universe, attempts to create the different planetary systems and their inhabitants, expanding the population through his progeny like Manu and other progenitors of living entities, who work perpetually under the order of the Supreme Lord. In the first chapter of the 4th canto, there are descriptions of the 3 daughters of Swayambhuva Manu and their descendants. The next 6 chapters describe the sacrifice performed by King Daksha and how it was spoiled. Thereafter, the activities of Maharaj Dhruva are described in 5 chapters. Then in 11 chapters, the activities of King Prithu are described, and the next 8 chapters are devoted to the activities of the Pracheta kings. So this is how 31 chapters of 4th canto are divided. As described in the first verse of this chapter, Swayambhuva Manu had 3 daughters, namely Akuti, Devhuti and Prasuti. Of these three daughters, one daughter, Devhuti, has already been described along with her husband, Kardamuni, and her son, Kapilamuni. In this chapter, the descendants of the first daughter, Akuti, will specifically be described. Swambhuva Manu was the son of Brahma. Brahma had many other sons, but Manu's name is specifically mentioned first because he was a great devotee of the Lord. In this verse, there is also the word cha, indicating that besides the three daughters mentioned, Swambhuva Manu also had two sons. So we'll see how the stories, they basically revolve around this family only. And then the descendants of this family. But first of all, this family, amazing family. And Swambhuva Manu has three daughters. So Akuti, Devhuti and Prasuti, and two sons, it's mentioned here, Uttanpad and Priyavrat. So text number 2. Akutim ruche prada dapi bhratrim matim dripa putrika dharma mashritya shatrupa anumodita. Akuti had two brothers, but in spite of her brothers, King Swambhuva Manu handed her over to Prajapati Ruchi on the condition that the son born of her be returned to Manu as his son. This he did in consultation with his wife, Shatarupa. So little twist in the story. So Akuti was daughter of Swambhuva Manu and Shatarupa. She was married to Prajapati Ruchi. But there was a condition that the son born of her, that son will be raised by Swambhuva Manu and his wife as their son. So this was a condition. Why was this condition? He already had two sons, Uttanpad and Priyavrat. So generally it is like if he didn't have a son, maybe he wanted to adopt the son of his daughter. But he already had a son. Why he wanted that? Let's see. Sometimes a sonless person offers his daughter to a husband on the condition that his grandson be returned to him, to be adopted as a son and inherit his property. This is called Putrika Dharma, which means that by execution of religious rituals, one gets a son, although one is sonless by one's own wife. But here we see extraordinary behavior in Manu, for in spite of his having two sons, and his both the sons, they were exalted sons. We can see Maharaj Uttanpad and Maharaj Priyavrat, amazing sons. He handed over his first daughter to Prajapati Ruchi on the condition that the son born of his daughter be returned to him as his son. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments in this connection that King Manu or Swambhuva Manu knew that the Supreme Personality of Godhead would take birth from the womb of Akuti. Therefore, in spite of his having two sons, he wanted the particular son born of Akuti because he was ambitious to have the Supreme Personality of Godhead appear as a son and grandson. See? Because it is mentioned in the scriptures, and he knew Swambhuva Manu is a great devotee. And he is, of course, he is, in a way, his expansion of the Lord or incarnation, you can say the Shakti-Avesh avatar of the Lord. So he knew. So he wanted to raise that son of Akuti as his own son, because that would be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Manu is the lawgiver of mankind, and since he personally executed the Putrika Dharma, we may accept that such a system may be adopted by mankind also. Thus, even though one has a son, if one wants to have a particular son from one's daughter, one may give one's daughter in charity on that condition. That is opinion of Srila Jiva Goswami. But there is nowhere it is mentioned that the father will make his daughter pregnant and have a son or daughter through her. So let that daughter be married to somebody else, but he said, I want to adopt that boy. So that was the condition. Prajapati sa bhagwan ruchistasyam ajijanat mithunam brahma varchasvi paramena samadhina. Ruchi, who was very powerful in his Brahminical qualifications and was appointed one of the progenitors of the living entities. So he was a Prajapati, progenitors of the living entities. Begot one son and one daughter by his wife Akuti. So he was also a Prajapati. And he was very powerful in his Brahminical qualifications. The word Brahma Varchasvi is very significant. Ruchi was a Brahman and he executed the Brahminical duties very rigidly. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Brahminical qualifications are control of the senses, control of the mind, cleanliness within and without, development of spiritual and material knowledge, simplicity, truthfulness, faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, etc. There are many qualities which indicate a Brahminical personality, and it is understood that Ruchi followed all the Brahminical principles rigidly. Therefore, he is specifically mentioned as Brahma Varchasvi. One who is born of a Brahman father but does not act as a Brahman is called in Vedic language a Brahmabandhu and is calculated to be on the level of Shudras. Thus, in the Bhagavatam, we find that Mahabharata was specifically compiled by Vyasadeva for Stri Shudra Brahmabandhu. Stri means women, Shudra means a lower class of civilized human society, and Brahmabandhu means persons who are born in the families of Brahmins but do not follow the rules and regulations carefully. So, but Ruchi, Prajapati Ruchi was not at that level. He is called Brahma Varchasvi, topmost Brahman. All of these three classes are called less intelligent. They have no access to the study of the Vedas, which are specifically meant for persons who have acquired the Brahminical qualifications. This restriction is based not upon any sectarian distinction, but upon qualification. The Vedic literatures cannot be understood unless one has developed the Brahminical qualifications. And these qualifications, Prabhupada mentions in the beginning, some of them, like control of the senses, control of the mind, cleanliness, development of spiritual and material knowledge, simplicity, truthfulness, so on and so forth. The Vedic literatures cannot be understood unless one has developed the Brahminical qualifications. The Vedic literatures cannot be understood unless one has developed the Brahminical qualifications. They're not just some sentences that anybody who's a meat eater or drunkard, a cigarette smoker, can sit down and try to dissect those sentences, try to interpret them and try to understand them. No way one can understand Vedic literatures this way. So there are so many people these days, all over the world. They want to give their commentaries, especially on Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is a Vedic literature. If one does not have qualification, if one is not a Brahman, he cannot even understand Bhagavad Gita. What to speak of giving his commentaries on it, or his mundane interpretation on the verses of Bhagavad Gita. That's why even in Bhagavad Gita, the chapter 9, where Krishna says, this is a most confidential knowledge. Rajguya, Rajvidyam, Rajguya, Rajvidyam, Pavitram Uttam. And it is the purest of all knowledge. So the most confidential and purest of knowledge, king of knowledge, Rajvidya, how can one person approach it with some dirty mind and impure consciousness and impure qualifications, not having any proper qualifications? It has just become a fashion. Just like other day, As I said, I'm part of this interfaith meeting online that we have. And this, although he's a scholar of Islam and he appreciates Vedas, so he was talking about Bhagavad Gita. He said Bhagavad Gita, because the topic was about scriptures. He said Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata. So how can you just refer to Bhagavad Gita as a scripture? I was just looking at him. Who are you to comment on Bhagavad Gita and Mahabharata? You got to have Brahminical qualifications. And then I had to satisfy him. I said, Acharyas have said this is a scripture. It is called Gita Upanishad on its own. It's part of Mahabharata. Mahabharata is a huge story, 100,000 verses. But Srimad Bhagavad Gita, although it's part of Mahabharata, but it stands out as it's on its own. And it is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because again and again Vedvyaji wrote in that Shri Bhagavan Vacha, Shri Bhagavan Vacha. So if the Supreme Lord is speaking something, it has to be taken seriously. But the point is, without having proper qualification, one cannot even understand. Forget about commenting upon that scripture. It is regrettable, therefore, that persons who have no Brahminical qualifications and have never been trained under a bona fide spiritual master, nevertheless comment on the Vedic literatures like the Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. For such persons cannot deliver their real message. Ruchi was considered a first-class Brahman. Therefore, he is mentioned here as Brahma Varchasvi, who had full prowess in Brahminical strength. And that is why the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself took birth in that family, through that father Ruchi and mother Akuti. Yastyo Purushaha Shakshad Vishnur Yagya Swaruptrik Yastri Sa Dakshina Bhute Ranj Bhutan Payini. Of the two children born of Akuti, the male child was directly an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his name was Yagya, which is another name of Lord Vishnu. The female child was a partial incarnation of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, the eternal consort of Lord Vishnu. Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, is the eternal consort of Lord Vishnu. Here it is stated that both the Lord and Lakshmi, who are eternal consorts, appeared from Akuti simultaneously. Both the Lord and his consort are beyond this material creation, as confirmed by many authorities. Narayana Para Avyaktat. Therefore, the eternal relationship cannot be changed. And Yagya, the boy born of Akuti, later married this goddess of fortune. So that's why Prabhupada clarified it, that both the Lord and his consort are beyond this material creation. So even if in this creation they accept the same mother and father, so from material terms they're brothers and sisters, they cannot get married. But they got married because their eternal relationship is of the Lord and the consort. So that's also the previous verse, Prabhupada clarified it. Without Brahminical qualification, one cannot understand Vedic literature. So if from that perspective, from mundane perspective, if somebody wants to read this, so he'll say, what is this? Srimad Bhagavatam, you say it's Amala Purana, and what is this? It's mentioned brother and sister are getting married here. Because they cannot understand the Supreme Lord and his pastimes. If Lord Varahadev, as I studied in the previous canto, he appeared from the nostril of Brahmaji, the Lord is supremely independent. He can appear from wherever he wants to. But that doesn't mean that Brahmaji is better than the Lord. It does not mean that. The Lord, out of his pastime, he can appear. He is supremely independent. And if here Lord Yagya is appearing from Mother Akuti and her husband Ruchi, and Lakshmi ji also appears from the same parents, it doesn't mean they become brother and sister because they are beyond this material creation, they're beyond the laws of material creation. These laws are for us to follow, not for them. So sometimes it appears that they're breaking the laws, but that is to show their independent nature, that they are Swarat. Supreme Lord is Swarat, and his internal energy personifications like Lakshmi ji or Sita ji or Radharani or other, they're all independent. These laws are for us to follow because we want to get purified. We want to be able to get back to Godhead, not them. Ananya swagriham putrya putram vitattaro chetatoshchisham swayambhuvo muda yukto ruchir jagraha dakshinam. Swayambhuva Manu very gladly brought home the beautiful boy named Yagya, and Ruchi, his son-in-law, kept with him the daughter Dakshina. So that was the daughter's name, Dakshina. And see, Dakshina is given at the time of Yagya. I guess that's why they were named Yagya and Dakshina. Swayambhuva Manu was very glad to see that his daughter Akuti had given birth to both a boy and a girl. He was afraid that he would take one son and that because that this son-in-law Ruchi might be sorry. Thus, when he heard that a daughter was born along with the boy, he was very glad. Ruchi, according to his promise, returned his male child to Swayambhuva Manu and decided to keep the daughter, whose name was Dakshina. One of Lord Vishnu's name is Yagya because he is a master of the Vedas. The name Yagya comes from Yajusham Patihi, which means Lord of all sacrifices. In the Yajurveda, there are different ritualistic prescriptions for performing yagyas, and the beneficiary of all such yagyas is the Supreme Lord, Vishnu. Therefore, it is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Yagyarthat karmana, one should act, but one should perform one's prescribed duties only for the sake of Yagya or Vishnu. If one does not act for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or if one does not perform devotional service, then there will be reactions to all one's activities. It does not matter if the reaction is good or bad, if our activities are not dovetailed with the desire of the Supreme Lord, or if we do not act in Krishna consciousness, then we shall be responsible for the results of all our activities. There is always a reaction to every kind of action. But if actions are performed for yagya, there is no reaction. Or maybe there is no material reaction. Or there is no reaction because whatever we get in result is a mercy of the Lord, not the reaction. Thus, if one acts for yagya or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is not entangled in the material condition. For it is mentioned in the Vedas and also in Bhagavad Gita that the Vedas and the Vedic rituals are all meant for understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. From the very beginning, one should try to act in Krishna consciousness. That will free one from the reactions of material activities. So that's why the Lord's name is, this boy's name was kept as Yagya. And because this is a time of Satyuga, so that is when Lord Yagya appeared. No, Treta Yuga is when Yagya is a dharma. So this is the time of Satyuga, but I don't know what the activities of Yagya, Lord Yagya will be. That probably we'll read later. And that's why it's called Yagya, because he's a Lord of all the sacrifices. So all the sacrifices are meant to please the Supreme Lord or Vishnu. And the daughter that was born from Akuti was kept in her father's house, Dakshina, and later on this Lord Yagya marries Dakshina. So anyway, we'll stop here, and just wanted to comment on the wonderful summary of all the chanting and all the activities that devotees did over Nirjala Ekadashi, and Radha Prabhu had spent so much time compiling the data. It's wonderful. So many devotees chanted so many rounds, so almost at the level of 80 rounds per person. So almost 4,000 rounds we all chanted together, 50 of us. It's amazing. It's just completely amazing. I don't know how many holy names it comes down to, but this holy name is so powerful. And if we still pray to the holy name, because that sound is out there in the universe, if you pray to that holy name, that please go and get rid of this coronavirus and all the problems the world is facing, fightings and riots and this and that, the holy name can do that. You're not different from Krishna. Of course, we should not be using holy name for mundane material purposes. That's what Prabhupada didn't want us to. But at least we can pray to the holy name. That if you like, please remove these sufferings. And let us be surrendered to you. Let us serve you properly. So everybody deserves a wonderful applause for chanting so many rounds. It's really commendable. And all I can pray is, let's keep it up. A holy name. At the end of the day, it's a holy name that's going to save us, nothing else. So
thank you so much, Prabhuji. All glories to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
All glories to Radha Prabhu. So,
absolutely, Prabhu.
Thank you all very much. Anybody wants to say something?
Prabhuji, the background picture is so beautiful. I will just keep on just viewing it. It's completely adorable, I would say.
I'll post it on the group.
Please, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
And the Snan Yatra is going on and is being telecast live, so you all can watch that.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji, and big Hari Bol for the entire team.
Hari Bol.
Everybody deserves.
For Radha Prabhu and Vidya Prabhuji.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, all glories to you and Radha Prabhuji.
You all have a wonderful and safe day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri
Hare
Radha.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Thank you so much.
Jai Shri Radha Prabhuji.